How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be going over the ultimate guide to blank game week 28. We did one of these ultimate guides for double game week 24 and it was highly well received. So I thought I would do another one for you guys on blank game week 28. We'll be going over everything, unfortunately not the captaincy options and the players to look at, as that will be covered in the blank game week 28 preview a little bit closer to the time, because then we have a little bit more data and maybe a player that I decide in this video might not be in the best form for captaincy and that. So just stay tuned for that blank game week 28 preview and team selection coming up in the week prior to game week 28. Without further ado, let's get into this ultimate guide. So game week 28, if you don't know, is a blank game week. What that means is that there's going to be a couple of fixtures missing due to the League Cup final. So in the League Cup final, Aston Villa are taking on Man City. So those two fixtures are hindered from game week 28. So that means Aston Villa versus Sheffield United and Man City versus Arsenal are the blank fixtures for game week 28. A lot of teams and a lot of FPL managers own these players, mainly Sheffield United. I think Sheffield United is going to be the major blow to our squads, as a lot of us have not only doubled up, maybe even tripled up on that Sheffield United defense just because of how good they've been this season. And then Man City, a lot of people own Kevin De Bruyne or Aguero. Arsenal, Aubameyang probably the most owned player, and then with Aston Villa, Jack Grealish. But I think those two sides are a lot less owned. So the main teams that we're going to have to focus on for replacements and for benching is going to be Sheffield United and Man City. Now, I'm not saying that we have to transfer our players from these clubs out, but I do think that we have to make a plan of action if we're going to be benching them, to have players on our bench that are willing to come on and do the job. So the worst case scenario, and the reason why I wanted to get this video out as soon as possible, I haven't been able to release it in the prior weeks just because of how hectic the fixtures have come at us, and those game weeks have been thick and fast. But now we've had a little bit of a break due to this winter 2-week break between game week 26 fixtures. So the worst case scenario is if you have one free transfer. A lot of you will have 2 or 3 transfers, but one free transfer means that you already used your transfer for game week 27. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people, but I did want to cover the worst case scenario, and I do think most of us with 2 or 3 transfers are going to be easily able to get a strong starting 11 for blank game week 28. You can see my recommendation there: prioritize your bench players. So in the previous talking point, we spoke about how you don't have to transfer out your Sheffield United and your Man City assets just because you need a strong starting 11. I think you need to prioritize your bench players. So what that means is that 4.5 midfielder or defender or even attacker on your bench, just make sure that they are playing. So for my personal team, I have Connolly on the bench, but he has lost his place in that starting lineup and has not even been coming off the bench recently. So he's a player that I'll be looking at transferring out just so I can get that strong starting 11. Players in these squads that I think you have to be looking at, mainly from Sheffield United, is going to be Dean Henderson. So if you, like me, you have a second keeper that is not playing, and I don't think you understand what that means. So that means that you can have Dean Henderson not playing as well as your bench player, your bench goalkeeper, and that's going to equal 0 points. However, it might be actually worth just playing with those 0 points. There's not been many keepers that are performing on the level of Dean Henderson recently, so maybe it's worth it if you have money stored in him, just playing and taking that 0 point on the bench and on your starting 11, just so that you don't have to transfer him out. But that's the one player I wanted to touch on and just give you guys a reminder to look out for in the upcoming game weeks. So the chip strategy, I've had a lot of questions about the chip when I'm going to be using my free hit, bench boost and triple captain. So I've already used my triple captain, but with the free hit and the bench boost, I'm going to be keeping them for a little bit later on. So the free hit is probably the only chip that I'll be looking at. With the bench boost and the triple captain, it's not really a conventional method to use these chips in a blank game week. The bench boost, for obvious reasons, you're probably not going to be having a starting 11 and a bench in this blank game week just due to the Sheffield United and Man City players. So I don't think you'll be using the bench boost. It could be a mega differential though if you do have a strong bench. As I said, not a lot of people will be using it. The triple captain, I like to think of the triple captain to be more profitable if you have a little bit of a differential aspect to it, and that means more captaincy options. So in a blank game week, that's going to be a direct proportionality to your captaincy options. Less fixtures means less captaincy options, and I think the captaincy options are going to be quite condensed in these blank game weeks, so I wouldn't be using the triple captain. You can always just save it if you still have it for some upcoming double game weeks, which we'll be talking about in a My Chip strategy video later on. So the free hit, probably the only one that I'd be looking at. My own personal opinion is that I don't think that it's big enough of a blank game week to use the free hit. Only 2 fixtures cancelling, and that means 4 teams are not playing. We kind of want to use the free hit in a blank upcoming game week where there's a lot more blanking fixtures, as it allows us to navigate that blank quite a lot easier. I think it's going to be quite easy for us, especially with those 2 or 3 transfers, to kind of get through this blank game week with a strong starting 11. So my recommendation would be to just hold your chips for this one. Obviously, it is your own team and the chips are very situational, so if you feel that you need to use them, by all means do. But that's just my personal opinion. So the best fixtures coming out of blank game week 28, I've highlighted more of the premium options here to give you guys some ideas of maybe if you want to transfer out your Kevin De Bruyne's or Aguero's, you can maybe look at some of these squads. So we have Leicester taking on Norwich, Chelsea taking on Bournemouth, and Liverpool taking on Watford. Now, I'm not saying that Norwich, Bournemouth and Watford are terrible options for this blank game week, but I do think that Leicester, Chelsea and Liverpool are going to be our premium assets to look at, and probably where most of our captaincies are going to lie. So with Leicester, this is kind of the fixture that I've been waiting for. So I've been holding on to Soyuncu and Vardy for quite a while, even though they haven't been getting many FPL points, and it's just for this reason. I really want to hold them in blank game week 28 when a lot of teams don't have great fixtures and a lot of teams are blanking. I still have this really nice fixture for my Leicester assets. Chelsea, a lot of us don't really own the Chelsea assets. They've gone kind of down in their market value quite a bit, but they also could be some players to look at, maybe Tammy Abraham or Mason Mount, or even maybe a defender from Chelsea, as they do also like to get quite attacking. And then Liverpool, we all own them, probably have a double up or a triple up, so I don't see any reason why to drop our Liverpool assets, especially when they're coming up against Watford. Now, Watford have shown better form recently, and I do think it's going to be a tougher fixture, especially because it is an away fixture, but I do think that Liverpool are just looking like such a quality side recently, and I do think they can still get something out of this game. So these are the best fixtures, but let's get on to some of the more budget options. So this is basically going to be the most important talking point of this video, is the budget options. I spoke about how you need to prioritize your bench options, so this is exactly how you're going to be doing it. Newcastle, Burnley and Southampton have some really good budget options to consider. So these are the teams I think that you guys should be targeting for transfers in, and I don't think that you should be transferring players from these teams out unless obviously they're injured or not playing. So from Newcastle, the person I would probably highlight is Lascelles. Comes below that 4.5 million mark for a defender. He's going to be playing every minute. I know Newcastle aren't the best defensive side. Recently, they've picked up a couple of clean sheets, but I mean, if you have to just keep Lascelles on your bench every single game week and only play him for blank game week 28, I think his price is perfect for that. His price is cheap enough to not play him and still be happy playing him in game week 28. So Newcastle, I have some faith with them defensively, and I just hope that maybe for game week 28, they can pull something out of the bag and get a clean sheet. The other options to look at are Burnley. Now, Burnley had a little bit of rotation at the start of the season with their backline, but they seem to have cemented a back five. Just make sure that the player you're bringing in has been playing for the last couple of game weeks. I can think of Nick Pope is probably going to be one of the highly owned players. If you do own him, I don't see any reason to transfer him out. Has been performing quite well recently, and with that nice blank 28 fixture, I think that he can continue on that form. Other players that you could look at are also some midfielders and even some forwards from Burnley. I'm thinking of Chris Wood, has been in good form recently, scoring a couple of goals, and then you could also look at some other midfield options, as Burnley attackers are always quite cheap. With Southampton, we probably own Danny Ings, but the one player that I wanted to highlight to you is Shane Long. Comes in at 4.6 million, might have risen in price since recording this video. He provides a nice budget option in a forward line where there's a lot of premium. So 4.6 million is really nice to pay for a playing striker. I know that he doesn't always play 90 minutes, but I do think that he can get the most out of his 70 odd minutes every single game week. And when he's that cheap, I don't think there's going to be many complaints. He kind of complements Danny Ings quite well. So if Danny Ings plays quite well, Shane Long will probably get on the end of an assist or a goal. As we have seen recently, he's been taking over the goal threat duties quite a bit. Other options from Southampton are Redmond, and then also their defense is probably where most of their budget options lie. We have Stevens and players like that. Even their goalkeeper, McCarthy, I think he's the cheapest playing goalkeeper right now, so you could also look at him. Southampton also have some lovely fixtures before and after the blank, which makes them highly appealing. And Southampton's probably going to be the team that I think you should target just because of how well they've been playing recently as well. So this is going to wrap up the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. And as I said, we're going to be covering more in-depth analysis in that Game Week 28 preview and team selection. So just stay tuned for that. I wanted to get this video out for you so that you can kind of target and make a plan for blank Game Week 28 and it doesn't take you by surprise. So please like the video if you did enjoy and subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.